Here.
Dr. Chesney. Mr. Stahl.
Here.
Mr. Myers. Mr. Conley.
Here.
Mrs. Reed. Here. Mr. Trombley.
Here. Okay, good evening. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Signify by aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Okay, next up is the call to the public. If anyone wishes to address the board this evening, please go to the podium. We've allotted 30 minutes. No, 3 minutes. Please try to hold to that time frame. If we get within 30 seconds of the 3 minutes, we'll motion, and then we'll limit to at the 3-minute mark. Does anybody wish to address the board this evening? And I'll go running up. All right, we'll move on. That closes first call to the public. Superintendent report, Dr. Gray.
3 things tonight. First, polling location agreement. This was actually attended by Mr. Myers, who couldn't be here tonight. It gets together about every 5 years. It's a group of all Livingston County school districts and the different municipalities that run the elections. They typically run through what they're going to do for the upcoming 5 years worth of elections. At this one, there was some question about polling locations for schools or not. It wasn't actually included in the particular agreement. They've asked us since to continue to utilize the locations they've utilized in the past, and Mr. Myers has been kind enough to put that together for us. We will be sending that out to you so you can see it. It does not have to come to the board for approval. We just want you to be in the know. And really what we put together in terms of the agreement is that yes, they obviously can still use the different buildings for polling locations, whether it's a special election or a general election. We typically work through those particular issues. We typically don't have school on gubernatorial or presidential elections, but the other ones we do, and we manage it with security. So that was the gist of that. Are there questions though about polling location? I don't see any. What else? With Dr. Surrey tonight, she has a group here tonight that is going to give a little presentation. So, Dr. Surrey.
Yes.
Do you want me to move to the student rep?
I might have to use my computer, then I bet that doesn't work.
While they're still setting up the technology, we are lucky enough to have Miss Katie Bishop here tonight. Katie is a senior at Brighton High School. It is her 2nd year in leadership class. I've known Katie for about 4 years now, and just couldn't be prouder of this particular kid. She's about to head off to college and university, and she will do an unbelievable job. But it's my pleasure to welcome Katie Bishop.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Gray. At the high school right now, we're just coming off of a really busy, Winterfest week. We had a super successful Winterfest dance, and we're rolling into about time for our winter sports teams to head to states. Our ski team today was actually up north skiing for the state championship title today. And then this weekend, our cheer team, for the first time in 10 years, will be headed to the state competition, which is a huge deal for them. And we've been seeing a lot of student support, which is really cool. Other upcoming events, we have our high school musical this year, which is going to be Honeymoon in Vegas coming up, and that's going to be March 10th, and the weekend of March 10th, and the weekend of March 19th. The musical at the high school is always a huge deal. We have one of the best programs in the state, and it's always a spectacular musical to go see. We also, the leadership class has just put on the junior-senior volleyball game, where junior and senior boys who volunteer went out and played a charity volleyball game. This year we supported the Chris Harbrecht I Will Right Now Foundation, and we raised over $300 for them, so it's a local foundation that's helping families in the Brighton area affected by severe illness, helping to kind of do whatever they can to take their mind off the troubles in their family, and so it was a great way to help them start off their foundation. At this time of the year, it's weird for me being a senior to be winding down my career at Brighton High School, kind of planning for my next 4 years at college instead of my next year at Brighton High School. We have a lot of students doing scheduling right now at the high school and other prep for classes and stuff like that next year. A little bittersweet, but other than that, our big event on the radar would be our Senior Survivor Week. Another leadership student and myself are actually the co-chair. This year we have selected Pencils of Promise as our foundation to donate to. They are a non-for-profit that builds schools in third world countries. We have a goal of $35,000 to raise to build one school in a developing nation of our choosing in the Brighton community name. So the main reason we picked Pencils of Promise, it's a foundation that really helps Brighton students kind of get a look about other countries, other cultures outside of Brighton, which is a really big deal to the NHS board and NHS members that picked the foundation, wanting to, give students a more diverse and outside look on things that go on outside our little town of Brighton. So, other than that, not much else.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Dr. Suri, all ready?
Yep.
Media specialist set up for technology.
And Dr. Suri, that's it, and I did.
All right, well, this evening, we've been trying to bring to the board some of the representatives from our various programs around the district, just especially because we have some new board members, but also just because it's been a couple of years since we've brought some of the groups before you. This group in particular, you've never really seen in this capacity before, because this is some feedback. We'd like to give you an update on our K4, actually it's K6 enrichment program that the enrichment study group designed last year with the help of some board members and lots of parents and lots of staff members. And we're very proud of the program. We're very proud of the work of our 2 enrichment coaches, and they are Jillian McColgan. Said it right, didn't I? It just took me 5 years. And Kim Lewicki. And they are here tonight to present with our media specialists, and we have Nicole Spencer, Tracy Richards, and Margaret Adams, and they are elementary media specialists. All together, they delivered Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM program, science, math, engineering program, as an enrichment program to the kids who've been identified for that, which is about the top 30% of our students in grades 2 through 4, and then there's also some enrichment happening at Malby. I probably said everything I was going to say.
Great.
Thank you very much for coming. So anyways, we just wanted you to give us a short summary of what you've done this year and how you think it's going.
So I'm going to touch upon kindergarten. So in the elementary, the media specialists are doing the enrichment for K1. We see them on a weekly basis for their regular library classes. So we've added the Project Lead the Way unit as enrichment for those students. So I'm going to talk just really quickly about kindergarten. And so for our kindergarten unit, for Project Lead the Way, it's called Animals and Algorithms, and it's a 6-week module. In week 1, there was an introductory story, and we just introduced coding and computer programming to the students. In week 2, there was a board game. You can see a visual here of the board game that the students did. It's a magnet board, so it taught them how to move the animal to its food, to its habitat, and how to actually move spaces or do coding. So they learned that. And then weeks 3, 4, and 5, we actually did coding with them on the iPad. So there were various programs that we used, Scratch Junior, we used Codable. Nicole did this really cool thing on the carpet with her kids, and she's going to talk, or we'll show you a picture of that in first grade. So lots of really cool stuff with that. That was weeks 2, 3, and 4, and by the time we got through week 5, the kids really had a great grasp on coding. So it was really cool to see kindergarten really take that on and really understand what they were doing. And then for week 6, kind of came right back to the beginning and did conclusion. to tie it all together so that really to see if they really understood the assessment piece and what did they get out of it. And it was amazing to see the difference between week 1 and week 6. So they had a lot of fun with it. We also do, there's some other pictures here of kindergarten participating in some hour code. Nicole's going to touch a little bit more about what other types of enrichment we do for kindergarten and first grade, but I'll let Margaret talk about the first grade unit.
So we broke it up since we're in buildings part-time. We broke it up to kindergarten or first grade first, and then we went to our kindergarten groups. So I actually just started, Tracy had already finished her kindergarten one, but I had actually just started my kindergarten. So in first grade, it's an animated storytelling. This is a 6-week module, just like the kindergarten one. And in week 1, we did the introduction and the story, and then we played the board game on our Promethean boards, and then actually they played it on the floor. Project Lead the Way supplies all of the equipment for us. So we had circles and we had cards for the kids to program, and it was a lot of fun watching them come up with their ideas. And then Nicole and Tracy got into the Scratch Junior. I actually have been using Codable, which is an app, and my kids today just finished that, so I'm going to start my Scratch Junior with them next week. And again, it's all programming. So here's another example of the board, and then the kids sitting around, and then we'll share the link with this, but this is just our kids and how excited they were about sitting down on the floor and trying to figure out, I'm not sure if the volume will work, but okay, so anyway, this is them sitting around in the group and how excited they were. And it was actually funny, I had older students walk through the library and they looked at me and they said, "This is Adams, this is the library, why are they so loud?" And I started laughing. I said, because they're learning how to code, and they were very excited. They had to get from the doghouse to their bone. They had to jump puddles. They had to get back to the doghouse. They started at the start line, and then this is just the video. And if you listen to it with the sound, it's awesome how much the kids, how excited they were about that. So it's been a lot of fun. We have other coding things that we do with the kids throughout the year. I think I've talked to you about that at other board meetings, but. And then Nicole's going to touch on the makerspace and genius hours that we do with our kids.
So this one photo that is up here was something else that I did, kind of helping build the knowledge of the students on coding. I have this little programmable robot that I actually purchased last year with technology integration grant funds from the board, so that was pretty awesome. But the kids are able to program that, and I just have this piece of cardboard laid out, and we talked about how the robot will only do what they tell it to do, nothing more, nothing less. So they're really kind of catching on to that as far as Project Lead the Way goes. I also bring this, and we all bring in other activities into a makerspace or Genius Hour type activity that we invite all classrooms to come into the library and participate in. It really gives the kids an example to come in and create and innovate and tinker with stuff that they might not get the opportunity to do otherwise. So we bring in the higher tech things like coding and different Osmo things that go along with iPads, and then we also do a lot of low tech stuff too, giving them the ability to create with Legos or building blocks or other engineering examples in math and all of that really good stuff. So it's been a great way to just kind of boost the things that we do with the students, and Project Lead the Way fits right into that.
Hi, I'm Julian, and this is Kim, and like Dr. Suri said, we are Brighton's academic enrichment coaches, and we would like to first thank the board, Dr. Suri and Dr. Gray, for all of your support with this new program. We're very excited that we're part of it, and we think it's an excellent opportunity for the students. So what we do for grades 2 through 4 is, again, we use the Project Lead the Way program. It's a STEM-based program. It's extremely engaging for the students. The students have to solve real-world challenges, and they use this engineering design process every day. It's where they start with a driving question, then they get to explore and research the question and build models and determine, it's very much a cycle where they go back and forth. If something's not working in the model, then they go back to exploring, researching before they move forward. So I think it's very beneficial in the school setting along with a real world skill that we're teaching them. We also teach them the real world skill of collaborative work. They're always working in either small groups, large groups, together to meet a common goal. We just finished in Project Lead the Way the biomedical unit, and Kim is going to talk more in detail for about 2nd and 3rd grade and what that looks like.
So 2nd grade, we just finished an erosion unit. So let me see. I might need my media specialist help. In this unit, though, the students first began with building background knowledge. So the students looked at maps. They used Google Earth to figure out where water was located all over Earth, and that was going to be the driving force of what are forces of erosion and how does erosion affect the landscapes of our Earth. So I kind of broke it down by the 5 big points of the lessons. So the beginning part, they're making maps. They decided to just make a map of their classroom. We talked about map features. Then we got a little bit bigger scale, like I said, with using Google Earth and figuring out where water was. They figured out where continents were too, which that was pretty exciting. Then Project Lead the Way has a lot of interactive presentations to build background knowledge. So this was an interactive presentation which exposed them to forces of erosion. They then went into actually having sand trays and building a landscape and mimicking forces of erosion, such as earthquake and wind and moving water, to then bring them back to that, where's water located on Earth and how does it affect our landscapes. The final project, what the students had to do is they actually had to build a hill, and the fictional story was all about how the hill was unstable and there was going to be a lot of heavy rain coming, and they had to somehow stabilize this hill so that it wasn't going to drown the houses at the bottom of the hill. So the students came up with many different types of drainage systems and ways to push the water off to the side so it wouldn't hit the houses. Like Jillian said, it was very collaborative. They were very happy to do it. They were very happy to test their solutions. But I think the coolest part about this whole thing was the students kept coming back to me, and they, one student actually brought in a picture today, and they said, "Look what I did in my backyard. I made an erosion tray." And he brought his picture in for me. So you can see his mom and dad were probably pretty happy that he drug out the shovels from the yard and created some erosion in his backyard. But it's pretty cool that they're taking it and bringing it home and really applying their learning in their life. 3rd grade. 3rd grade was all about genetics. So the students learned background knowledge on genes and genetics, and that some people can taste a chemical such as PTC, and other people have blue eyes, and other people have brown eyes, and what that means. So the students first did a scientific inquiry process where they took surveys on who had what, and then they figured out, well, who can taste PTC, which is a chemical in the lab. And then, you know, such things as widow's peak and their fingers being bent. Anyways, and then they again built background knowledge. They learned how to, they learned about Gregor Mendel a little bit. They learned how to cross using a Punnett square. We mainly worked with plants and fictional plants, and they drew a mother and father gene and crossed them and figured out how many different babies they could produce. So that was our array of babies over their faces. And then the final culminating product here was they actually grew plants, and they had to grow 3 generations of plants. So they had a parent 1 and a parent 2 plant. They crossed those to get the future generation, and then they crossed 2 of those to get the future generation of 2, so the grandbaby plants. And they had to figure out the genotype and phenotype of these plants.
Okay, and in 4th grade, the module that we just finished was called Input Output, the Human Brain. And the students were studying basically how we take in input from the environment, how our brain processes that, and then comes up with appropriate reactions. So the first thing that they did here in these pictures is they created a clay model of the brain. They had all the different regions. They researched what the different regions were in control of and what sense each region was in control of. Then the students took part in sense stations, where basically we singled out each sense, and the students, had to determine, first of all, they determined that we use all of our senses all the time to understand our environment, but they also, so they used this as the first stepping stone. They also took part in some memory stations where we looked at long-term and short-term memory and a little bit of reaction time stations. Then the students all became neurons, and we talked about how messages travel throughout the body. And finally, the last activity was we went back to our model of the brains, and the students actually diagrammed input going into the appropriate place of the body, traveling to the brain, what region of the brain processes that, and then what the output would be. And the culminating activity was that the students determined that the brain is so important and that we wouldn't be able to function without it. So how do we keep our brains safe? And they created puppet EDUs, which are a slideshow, and in those puppet EDUs, they informed their peers on how to keep their brains safe, how to determine if they have a concussion, how to protect against concussions, and what to do if you think you might have a concussion. Again, we would like to thank you guys for your time tonight and the support that we've received in the enrichment program. We have received a lot of feedback from families in this program, and the feedback's all been very positive. Parents feel like they've been heard on the curriculum surveys that they've received in the past. And so here's just some examples from some parents.
I printed some of them out just so you could see them close up. We don't expect you to read that fast. I'm sure you can, but.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. I'm not sure if anybody else does. If there was anything you could do to improve the program or add to the program, what might it be, and what can we do to help?
Well, right now, Kim and I are split between, we actually go to all 4 elementary buildings and then all be on Fridays. And I think it'd be much more powerful if we could be in one building, seeing the kids 4 days a week. Because they do have every other day as an independent day where we design independent projects that they work on over a long period of time. But I feel like we can get through much more, being able to see them every day.
So more of you.
More of us, yes, yeah, more time with the students.
So is that something, as a proposal that you folks can put together and maybe put our way?
Well, we've been working with Dr. Surrey.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're actually reconvening the enrichment study group so we can look at the outcomes from this year and then make some tweaks for next year. One of the things that I know when I meet with our 2 academic enrichment coaches, I talk a lot about, I love this, but how do we bring this to all kids, or at least more and more kids? Because I'd like to have, I'll tell you I haven't done this, but how it's been done so far this year is our media specialists have stepped up to say, they went to Project Lead the Way training last summer, and so they said, well, we'll at least take care of K-1 because they have media time with them, and so that's going to all kids. That's not just a select group of kids. So once we get them to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, then they're identified through reading skills and math skills and classroom behavior and that kind of stuff, because they have to be able to come and do that independent work. But as you can see, I love the photos and the intensity on the kids' faces, especially looking at a lot of young men who are focused on that hands-on learning. And I think to myself, there's a lot of them sitting in classrooms right now too that aren't part of this, and how do we make sure we bring Project Lead the Way to them as well? So we have to have the structure though somehow to do that. So that's kind of our wish list, is how do we expand this actually.
Okay, so I think that's something that we'd be interested in seeing some more information on how we can help support that. Anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Stop. You want to shut off the, everybody's muted.
So that moves us to the next portion of the agenda, which is our 4 action items. First up would be the minutes of February 13th, 2017. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Support?
Moved by Trombley, supported by Stahl. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Passes 5-0. Okay, next up would be school of choice, fall of 2017.
I have received no further questions since the last board meeting, so I'd recommend the Schools of Choice program as presented for the school year 2017.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Moved by Stahl, supported by Conley. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
In the past, we've had some concerns that this was the right way to go or not. I can suggest that with the direction of the district and its current pattern and its success, I believe it's obviously been the right way to go. I can tell you that in the recent, it's distant now, but 6-7 years ago, where folks thought it was a good idea to not have an early kindergarten program in Lower Elementary. And they felt that, we should just not have that. The way I understand it, that put us in a position that we really didn't get a deficit as soon as we would have. But everybody thought it was the right thing to do was to cancel a wonderful program. And also we're talking about the new programs we have that we're offering even tonight. And these programs are made possible because of what we're talking about tonight and the school of choice. And without it, we wouldn't have as many opportunities for our students. I'd just like to have the board think about that and decide what to vote on this. I would suggest that the superintendent's lead on it, the vision on it. He hasn't let us down yet on anything that I can talk on anything. And again, I go back to different, we agree to disagree, but we all have the same mission. He's looking the district forward, and I see no reason to look back at this time. So I'd like to have all the support and his view on this tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Conley. Any other discussion?
I have a question. I think we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but Dr. Gray, I know you put a lot of effort along with the rest of your staff in making sure that we're balancing our classrooms. How are we projecting out the size of our community and whether our classrooms, just even the physical buildings, are going to be able to handle the future? Because if we bring in a student, school of choice, as a kindergartner or a first grader, certainly we would be able to keep that student here and not send them someplace else because our district is growing too large for our buildings.
So as we look at the trend data, and that's typically what we look at is the last 3 to 5 years, we're holding pretty consistent for the last 2 to 3 on the incoming kindergarten class. We want to be in that 450 to 500 range. If we're in the 450 to 500 range, our 4 elementaries can handle that easily all the way through their 4th grade transition. At the multi level, if that takes place, you'll end up with about 1,000 kids there total. Right now we're at about 830. When we switch both Maltby and Scranton from 2 6, 7, 8 buildings to a 5, 6, and a 7, 8, both of them were well over 1,000. So we know we have capacity there. At the high school level, back in 2003, we had about 2,700 kids at its max. Today we sit at about 2,100, so we have plenty of capacity there. So even if you play out the 500, which is a goal, we're probably 474 last year, but if we were to play out 500 long term, it would give us 2,000 in the JK through 4th grade, 2,000 in 5 through 8, and roughly 2,000 through the 9 through 12, and that's a pretty good balance for us. Our goal is that 6,000 mark. That's a pretty good sweet spot for us.
And do you have any reason to think that our growth pattern is going to change? I mean, we do have a lot of
We don't.
business coming into the community, housing going up near us?
So we typically get about 30% from all new neighborhoods. And in the past, we used to see about a 3 to 4 kid average. So in the last 5 years, we haven't seen quite 30%. We haven't had many new neighborhoods. We've had a couple of them filling out. There's some construction in Pine Creek right now. There's a couple of the neighborhoods that there's construction. The 200 plus house neighborhood that was proposed by Scranton was denied. So we're not really counting on that presently. And the rest of it is fairly built out. There still could be some more. Even with that, what we would do is just manage the process and wouldn't fill as many seats through school of choice. So we feel like we can balance this for a good 7 to 10 years without much effort.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, can we go to a roll call vote?
You want a roll call vote for this? Okay. Let's start down here. Mr. Tremblay.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Conley.
Yes.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes.
Mr. Birchfield.
No. Okay. Passes 4 to 1. All right. Moving on. Donation VHS Auto Shop.
We'd recommend you accept the donation of $3,500 in kind to the VHS Auto Shop from Mr. James Filipowski, who's actually here in the back today, and we recommend this with great appreciation for not only his skill level, but his work on this particular project for us.
Okay, motion to approve the donation to the VHS Auto Shop for $3,500, or a $3,500 in total value.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Trombley, supported by Conley. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Last up would be staff layoff certified. Dr. Gray.
We recommend the district a reduction of 2.0 FTE and approve the layoffs of the certified teachers listed below.
Motion to approve.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Trombley, supported by Stahl. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye.
No, we need a roll call vote on that.
Oh, you need a roll call vote on that? Okay. Okay, roll call vote. Rewind.
Okay. Mrs. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay.
Yes.
Mr. Conley.
Yes.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes.
Mr. Birchfield.
Yes. Okay, passes 5-0. Thank you. That closes out the 4 action items for this evening. Jumping to for future action, which there is none, so we'll skip over that. That was easy. And we'll move into for information. Curriculum instruction, Dr. Suri.
Thank you. I just follow up on the enrichment presentation we had before. Lots is happening across the district, of course, in curriculum instruction every month, and February is a very busy month because of kindergarten roundup. Last week we had roundup with parents visiting us at Hawkins and Spencer. Had a great turnout. Staffs were well prepared for that and put on a great presentation, very welcoming, lots of good information there. And tomorrow evening, Hilton and Horning will have their roundups as well. So expect a good turnout again. I mentioned earlier our enrichment study group is reconvening. They'll be meeting next Monday night. Again, assessing the work for this past year and making recommendations at the end, if not the first night of meeting, but at the end of our work, recommendations for next year. There are also curriculum study groups going around the district and aligning our curriculum. We've launched a very ambitious plan to have all of our curriculum reviewed and aligned and documented by the end of 2018. And so we're kind of well on our way there. I know Mr. Vecchione led a group last Monday with getting the health curriculum review and doing some scope and sequence for our elementary in particular, focusing on that. We also have M-STEP work happening, so that now we're having meetings with our building principals to get ready for the testing in the spring. There's just lots happening all the time across the district. And also just want to mention that there's transition parent and class meetings happening for incoming 7th graders and incoming 5th graders through Scranton and Maltby. And those principals are busy working on that. Just as part of our school improvement network that we have, last week our instructional initiatives communicators met. Those are representatives from K4, and we bring them together for not only updates on the curriculum initiatives, but also to allow them to be part of the decision-making process. And that's proven to be a very successful group, and gotten great feedback from our staff of them being part of that discussion. And then also, I think this particular Thursday, our data coaches will be meeting as well. And they look at all the data, and they look at school improvement plans and see where we are in that. So many things happening, but for the next 2 weeks, very, very busy across the district. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Suri. That brings us to finance. The only things that I'm aware of this evening for finance are what is presented in the board packet, bills and statements. So I suppose we move beyond those unless there's any specific questions. Okay. That takes us to human resources. Dr. Gray.
Yeah, tomorrow is actually our kind of a memorial type date in our teacher contract where most people retire because there's an incentive in relation to that. So we'll take a look at how many we have tomorrow. Our estimation would be in the 8 to 10 range, which is about in line with what we've had in the past. Seems like that's been the average in the last several years. But I'll know more after tomorrow. It doesn't mean people can't obviously retire after that, but it is one of those earmarked spots in the calendar, in our contract. And then the insurance consortium. We've been working very hard as a county on the insurance consortium. You've had some information I've shared with you in relation to that. Another meeting this week in terms of that, and we'll see how that plays out as we move forward. We're looking for not only a little bit of a savings, but the bigger issue I think is the ability to control more of the rate increases as we move forward. So more lives the better, and that's kind of the premise behind it. I'll entertain any questions.
On the insurance consortium, how many other districts are we talking to?
Looking at all of them in the county, plus LESA. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gray. Board committee, that takes us to board committee reports. Any board committee report updates this evening?
Thank you. Last week, Dr. Gray made time to meet with the LCCA leaders regarding some grade school type of prevention programs for our youth, and it looked like they were primarily focused on at-risk students. And I believe it was a good meeting, and there was discussion on what to do to go forward and to possibly train our staff and versus their staff and different things to look at for future. And again, taking a step forward in a positive direction to counteract what goes on today. And I thought that was well done. And then also, this last Friday before, we met with the superintendent in all public schools in a similar fashion. I had asked for a meeting with them about possibly a working relationship on the good things that go on in both school systems and how we could work together to kind of help each other. And I think that was a really good meeting with the superintendent. And I believe Dr. Gray and the superintendent have been in conversation since then. We talked about some ideas, and we'll talk more in the near future on some stuff we talked about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. Anyone else have any board reports this evening? All right. That brings us to our second call to the public. Same rules apply as before. Does anyone wish to address the board?
I'm back. Good evening, Margaret Adams. I'm a parent or ex-parent in the district. My boys have graduated years ago. I'm also one of the media specialists. For those of you, and unfortunately Roger's not here, Mr. Myers is not here, but for those of you that are new to the board, our elementary media specialists are 0.5 in the building. It may look like we're fully staffed because there's 3 of us, but I'm 0.5 at Hilton and Spencer. Tracy, Mrs. Richards is 0.5 at Horning, and Mrs. Spencer, who just left, is 0.5 at Hawkins. Just something to consider as we move forward, and I know Dr. Gray knows my feelings very well on this, but I think that this year, especially with the Project Lead the Way and the training we went to, Mrs. Richards and I sat in the meeting when Dr. Suri was presenting it last year, and we both looked at each other and said, oh my gosh, this is us. We have to go to this training. The technology end of this is us. So it's been great that we've been able to do the whole K and first grade. We would love to be able to do more than that, but being part-time in the building, we just don't have that time. We have supported him and Jillian as much as we can. And again, when they have their independent time, if we were in the building, we could help with that too. So I know that Mr. Birchfield asked for a proposal, but I just wanted to let you guys know that as you look at us, it looks like we're fully staffed, but we're not. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. All right, we've got some guests here today from Catholic Central, I see. You guys didn't think you were going to get called out, did you? So are you guys here for a class?
Yes, sir.
You picked the right one to come to, because this is the fastest board meeting. Well played. Well played. You guys have any feedback? What'd you learn tonight? You didn't think you were going to get put on the spot either, did you?
I do have one,
Sure.
I have to walk over there?
No, you're good.
What's the difference between doing a roll call, where you individually say yes or no, versus all just saying yes, when we have a certain proposal or something like that? Like, what's the difference in going about it?
So that, a roll call vote is, it clarifies exactly how the vote goes amongst the 7 board members. So we have 2 board members who are absent tonight due to various reasons, but that, it calls specifically out the board members and how they're voting individually.
There are also some very specific things under law that have to go as a roll call vote, as opposed to the other ones that can go as a general vote.
Awesome, thank you.
When did Project Lead the Way start?
This is our first year.
Good question. Are any of you guys wrestlers? Yeah? Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
We wanted it, but you guys didn't.
Sorry, too hot.
You're Brighton kids, so.
Oh, they're right kids, they left. All right. Well, congratulations, well deserved. Thank you guys. All right. I think that should do it. Our next meeting is March 13th. That is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned.